It's about that time of day again here, boys and girls. Welcome back, welcome back. My name is Joseph James with your nightly newsletter for Is It Already October? October 1st, 2014, the first day of the 10th month of the year 2014. Welcome to the month of October. Welcome to the fourth quarter of year 2014. And boy, these markets did not wait at all to get off. Boy, we get a bang of a start to the fourth quarter. Gold continuing to a little bit stubborn on gold today. Couldn't quite get the price action to behave for us today, although we were watching to sell the highs of that range. Crude oil, I mean, come on, how much easier did you want it? My exact words last night were be patient, wait for it to retrace, go the opposite direction of the reaction from the news. Is that exactly what happened today? Crude collapses after getting a rally higher right into that 92.88 sell zone that we gave you 24 hours ago. And of course, the Russell. The Russell was, well, right out the gate today, bam, hitting new lower lows. We were selling waves on the way down. Just a great session if you were trading the E-mini. In fact, you got two swings at it. You got 9:30 and then, what was it, 11 o'clock? 11:30, something like that, late in the morning. What a great day. What a fantastic Wednesday. It was hump day here in the U.S. today. We had lots of news coming out of China, lots of news coming out of Europe, and of course, we heard from inventories today in the U.S. as well as ISM manufacturing. I could go on all day long about this stuff here, what happened today in the markets, but I've got a jam-packed newsletter in store for you guys here today. Let's roll up our sleeves and we'll jump right in. Before we get to our charts here today, I do want to remind you guys, make sure you're watching this video over on our blog here at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching this video on our YouTube page right now, be sure to follow the link inside that video's description and head on over here to Sideways Markets for three specific reasons. Reason number one, you can download all of today's charts as well as bonus charts. A lot of the charts that I use are zoomed in very close. I give you bonus examples of that, though, when you download them from slideshare.net. You can do that right below the video here this evening. Second thing, upper left-hand corner, I've got a special free pass for you guys and gals to come out and join me in my live trade room any afternoon. I always get this question, how do we use these charts in our live trade room? What does it feel like to be in our live trade room during the day? What does it mean to be a member of SchoolOfTrade.com? That's why I've got a free pass for you guys to come out and take a look at our live trade room and see how professional traders handle these crazy markets we're working with right now. And my third thing today, lower left-hand corner, I have a special newsletter mailing list, and I would love to send you an email every evening right around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time before that newsletter is published. So if you'd like to be a member of our nightly newsletter mailing list, just jump over here to the left-hand side, right above my ugly mug. Give me your name and your email address. And then one more thing, if you register for the free pass or if you join the newsletter list, just make sure you check your email. I'm going to send you a verification email to make sure you're not a robot. All right, guys? I think we're ready to rock and roll here today. Let's jump right in. Helmets fastened. No, I think that's the wrong expression, JJ. Helmets on? Yeah, we got seatbelts fastened. I think we're ready to go now. I think we're ready to go. Let's start out here today with the mighty mini Russell. Now, these E-minis, boy, we got some profit taking. Fundamentally speaking, the global economy is slowing down. You've got a lot of traders right now. They're looking at China, big time slowdown in China. New protests happening in Hong Kong may unhinge things in China. We have a little Tiananmen Square kind of building here in Hong Kong right now. We've got issues in Europe. We saw overnight, another disappointing manufacturing number, this time from Germany, one of the bigger economies in the world, right? Showing us some weakness in that German manufacturing sector. We even saw real bad news out of China last night, Germany. We even saw 3-month lows from our ISM non-manufacturing. So even the U.S. today had some trouble with some pretty disappointing manufacturing news. What does that mean for equities? Well, you've got to take it in context. We recently went to all-time highs, and if you didn't take profit there, you have to assume now that people are seeing this economic slowdown and they're taking their money out of the E-minis, out of equities, and where would you put it? Where would you put it if you wanted to find a safe haven? You'd put it in bonds. You'd put it in gold. Well, gold hasn't been falling lately until just today. Today, gold jumped up to the highs of that range. But why hasn't gold been falling? Gold hasn't been falling because the dollar is so strong. Why is the dollar so strong? I know, it's a web of just junk, isn't it? Why is the dollar so strong? Because the euro is weak. I know. And around we go, and around we go. If that makes your head spin, guys, don't worry so much about it, because here at School of Trade, all we do is just simply look at the charts. I don't care why it's going up or down. All I do is execute my 3 steps to success. What are those 3 steps? We do this every day in our trade room. What's my trend? Where's my setup? And then where's my entry trigger? The trend tells me what direction to be trading in. What direction is the Russell going right now? Low, right? Bearish control. We've got lower lows, lower highs, red clouds, below all the key moving averages. Very easy to see the trend is down. Now, trend tells me direction. The setup tells me where and when I should be considering to put my risk capital to work. Where would there be some sell setups on this chart? I've got channel setup at the top of that channel. I've got trigger zone setup, 97.4. We have trigger zone setup, 9 even. Reversal line setup, 34.3. And I also should mention a reversal line setup at 1100 as well. Plenty of sell setups for us to use right now. What about the third step to success? The entry trigger. Well, once we get up into these areas, now we look for the entry trigger. What does the entry trigger do? Well, remember, the trend tells me what direction to look. The setup tells me when to be looking to participate in that trend. And the entry, what does that do? The entry allows, especially new traders, the ability to measure risk and anticipate reward. It also allows us to isolate all the variables to find a pattern. A pattern is so easy for a new trader because learn the pattern, learn the entry. It's easy. Whereas if we were fundamental traders, we'd have to find some other clues out there. This is so much easier in my opinion. Trend down, setups are overhead, and my entry trigger, well, you want to come out and see me here at School of Trade, join our trade room, attend our training classes, and I'll walk you right through everything you need to know about finding those entry triggers. As you can see in the Russell, we are technically oversold right now. I've got a target down there at 1074.9, and look closely here. Again, this is where those bonus charts will really come in handy here. Look closely here, and we are approaching that low from May 15th here right now. So literally giving back all the profit here, or all the gains, all the way up to those all-time highs earlier on in the year. Pretty incredible. Just as fast as it went up, whoops-a-daisy, right? It heads right back on down. As you can see here next, looking at from the 64 down to the 32, what's my trend? This will be a faster time from the Russell. What's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? Lower lows, lower highs, red clouds, right? Below all the clouds, we're clearly bearish. Now, we've made recent lower lows, which means we've got some fresh sell zones for us. Trend is down. Where's my setup? I have a trend line set up, you'll notice, right overhead here, right? First setup will be a trend line setup. That's the first one. Second setup, trigger zone setup, 86.7. Trigger zone setup, 92.2. Trigger zone setup, 97.4. There's that big round number again. And then look closely, and you'll see there's a trend line overhead. This is another example of why you'll enjoy using those bonus charts, because you can see here we have a big old bear channel coming off those highs. So obviously we would love to wait for a short right about 1100, right? I mean, that would just be delicious for that just tasty sell zone up top there at 1097.4 all the way up to 11022. Keep in mind, this channel high will always be the best place to sell when I'm in a bear trend. So we would love to stay patient for that. But I don't think we'll have to wait that long. We got a bunch of sell zones overhead. I got targets waiting for us below. Target at 76.6, 1062.8. And one last thing, don't forget, we will respect the low of this channel most likely. So depending on where we are, if we go up and then come back down, right, that channel, of course, will be a little bit lower. So use that channel as your guide here on the mini Russell for your targets. Now, I said earlier that the price action was due for a correction, or we would love to get it to get a correction here, because you can see, members, you know how to wave count, right? You know how to count waves. We teach all of our students here at School of Trade how to count waves. We have a 15 wave right now, right? That's wave number 15. What do we know about double-digit waves? We know they're lower percentage, right? There's a negative correlation between the winning percentage and the wave count. The higher the wave count, the lower the winning percentage in the waves. We have a 15 wave count right now in the Russell. What does that tell me? It tells me do not be surprised if this thing just takes off, right? Profit taking possibly all the way up to maybe 1096.3. I have no idea where it will go, but it does tell us right now that we are definitely looking for a deep retracement here. What we don't want to do is we don't want to keep selling these lows, right? Selling lows will work sometimes, but not every time. And over a long period of time, selling at a discounted price is not going to make you money. You want to sell at a premium price. So what's my trend? Forget about what we think will happen. What do we know right now? What's my trend? Trend is down. Where's my setup here right now? I've got a setup here right now at 84. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. You can see we got once, twice, almost 3 times testing it. Members, you know we look for the first test of the setup zone, maybe the second test of a setup zone, right? If we get some good technical clues, some good tape reading in there. But 84, I would assume, going to be a weak sell zone here. That's WEAK weak. And then I've got my trigger zone set up 86.7. We have trigger zone set up 92.2. I'm going to call that a double top at 96.3, and if we happen to get up there at 97.4, okay? Targets below me right now, 73, 67.3, and again, don't forget, we've got this channel. We know the best trades come selling the highs of those bear channels, so stay patient. Look for that short around that 87 to 89 area overhead, and you'll have yourself at the highs of that bear channel. A very, very exciting day today on the Russell. Hope you guys made money out there right along with us. Moving forward here, from the mighty Russell to that funny yellow metal they call gold futures. Gold continues to push lower. Price is extreme, well, maybe not extremely, right? It's still within this channel. It's above 1,200 still, but it is currently oversold, and we're trading consolidating right now. We picked up on this consolidated range on Monday, and here we are 72 hours later, and it's continuing. Funny how we picked that out of the sky, huh? No. We did not guess on that on gold. If you watched our newsletter on Monday and Tuesday, right? If you were a good trader and watched your newsletter Monday night, we talked about this gold. As I go lower here, I don't want to sell at these lows, at least not for long term. This is my 64 anchor. So if you're a longer term seller on gold, you're looking for sells here around 1238. I've got a trend line overhead. That'll be another sell set up there for you overhead. I've got 76.6, and then of course the top of that channel. I don't think we get to 76.6. I don't think we go 700 ticks up here or 600 ticks up here in tomorrow's session. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, possibly next year. Let's move forward though, and let's see if we can find some easier information here, because clearly we're not getting much off this 64 anchor. What's a trader to do? We'll zoom in now. Now, not much has changed on this chart from 24 hours ago. If you recall, 24 hours ago, we found ourselves down here. And so my exact words were, we're going to wait to sell the highs, right? We give the benefit of the doubt to the sellers. Why? Because the trend is down, right? So what's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? Lower lows, lower highs, red clouds, below the moving averages. Easy as falling off a horse. Where's my setup now? Where's my setups? Well, again, last night I gave you guys a sell setup overhead. We hit that setup. We watched it in real time in our trade room today, and we almost fell asleep. I mean, it was quiet. It was real quiet, if you recall. It was the very first setup we saw this morning in the trade room at 8 o'clock. We watched, we waited, right? We caught up on some reading we hadn't. I mean, it was so slow. It was very slow. So we skipped it. And it was good because the Russell took off at the downside, and that's where the easy money was made. Later on in the morning, look out below on crude, and it was off for the races. So gold here now finally moving lower. So we have the green light right now to be selling short on gold, and all eyes right now are on that target at 1,200. I'm honestly very surprised that we haven't seen 1,200. I would have thought by now, once we got under that 1,205 area, right, early this week, late last month, once we got below 1,205, usually it has that sucky, right? It kind of sucks you down, right? How do I say this without sounding weird, right? It kind of sucks you down in there. Well, 1,200, of course, a big round number. It's a huge price magnet. The only thing I can think of is all those speculators out there that are expecting 1,200 to bounce. Why do I say that? Remember, 1,200. In case you have not been paying attention to my newsletter the past few weeks, 1,200 is the break-even point for the mining industry. If gold goes below 1,200, there will be thousands of mining companies out of business. Hundreds of thousands will lose their jobs. And so we know 1,200 is just like $75 a barrel for crude oil, right? It's a very significant break-even point. So we continue here on gold. I'm going to continue to sell the highs. If we don't push lower here, and again, it was real slow here this morning, so I'm not in that trade right now. But if we don't push lower, if we go higher, right, you got more sell zones overhead here. I got 24.5. I've got 26.6, 12.30. And again, you can see the trend line come overhead here. That's going to be a top of a channel. So we would love to sell those highs here, right? Wouldn't be bad at all if price goes higher. It would get somebody like me excited to sell short off those highs. Last but not least here, on the gold, we have our 16. And you can see on this really does, it's pretty much showing you what I was talking about from Monday, right? Here is Monday's lows right there. That was what we saw on Monday, right? Tuesday morning, we bounce off the low, go up to the high, right? We gave you guys this sell zone last night on the newsletter. And like I said, it just kind of sat here and kind of just hung out for a while. We abandoned it because of the lack of price action, and we took off to the downside on crude and the Russell today. So we do have that sell ready to go here on gold right now. What's my trend right now? Now, this is a good example of where we have a downtrend, but now we're going to flex our experience muscles. We see we have what? Consolidation, right? Higher lows, lower highs. So basically, this puts a little bit of a twist to this downward bearish trend. I'm still going to sell the highs. I'm still focused on being a seller right now. But now, instead of getting short at the high and just letting it run, now because of the consolidation, now we're going to be a little bit more conservative with our profit targets, right? As I always say to our traders in the trade room, prove it to me. Prove it to me first, and then I'll trust you, gold or crude, right? We talked about crude proving it to us earlier on this week when we threatened to make new highs, and we said, prove it to us, right? Until you prove it to me, we're going to stay short. So right now, we have to assume, until the chart tells me differently, not the news media, not the internet, nothing else, the chart tells me the truth. The price is the truth, and so we've got targets now below at 1208.2, 1201.2, and then if for some crazy reason there's no trading gods up there protecting 1200, 1195.9. Again, I've been talking about this for a week now. I don't see us getting easily below 1200. Okay? So, buy the lows, sell the highs. Yours truly, I'll be looking to sell these highs right now on gold. You got the green light right now. But don't wait too long. Don't wait too long. I wouldn't be selling here below that 1212, right? You want to sell that high, but after you come off that high, though, you're too late, right? Don't force it off that if you get too late, all right? How about that crude? How about that crude? We go from that funny yellow metal here to the black gold, the Texas tea, the crude oil futures. How about those inventories today? What's happening on crude right now? Well, fundamentally, we got the global slowdown. Okay, on top of that, you have a strong dollar made possible by the weak euro. And then if you really want to go out on a limb here, right, if you really want to go out on a limb, what did I say in the newsletter today? I forgot what I was talking about earlier here. I made a note earlier here. Oh, that's right. We have the recent Ebola outbreak. Imagine how many people are canceling their trips, their cruises. Imagine how many people are not filling up the gas tank right now or jumping on an airplane. I'll tell you, this recent Ebola outbreak really, I almost forgot what the heck I was going to say. This Ebola outbreak, it's not helping. That's for sure. It's certainly not helping. So we get a whole lot of fundamentals right now. Strong dollar, weak economies, right? Perception of demand is much lower right now. Today was a great example of exactly what I talked about only 24 hours ago. Rewind the tape, go back to last night's newsletter. We talked about the fact that we were probably going to see after this big drop down, remember this $3 drop that we saw yesterday, which, by the way, we called that big sell at that 94.74. I know, that was last night's newsletter. So we nailed that big short off the highs in last night's newsletter. And then my exact words were, you can pretty much bank on the fact there's going to be some profit taking, there's going to be some bargain buyers, there'll be some gamblers, right? It can't go lower, it's got to go higher, right? We talked about the gambler's fallacy last night. And so we talked about how there was bound to be a little bit of a push higher. What I also talked about last night was the fact that we had inventories. What did I specifically say last night about the inventory report? Be careful before 10:30, right? So you shouldn't have even been touching it today before 10:30 unless you were a buyer and you kind of had that gut feeling it was going to go higher. I can understand that. But for all the technical traders who were looking to sell, like I was, what do we do? Last night I said be careful before 10:30, and then what? After 10:30, the initial reaction to the news is oftentimes the opposite. What happened? News came out. They're bullish. They're going to run it. Oh, no, they're not. And we collapse right back down. It was like, well, hey, if you know the personality of the market, if you do this for a living like we do here at School of Trade, if you're a student of the markets, if you're paying attention, and if you turn off the television set and you listen to the price action, everything becomes very clear. What an incredible week we've had on crude. What an incredible 2 weeks we've had on crude. We nailed the consolidation. We nailed the sells off the high. Now, big drop, $3 yesterday. We see some profit taking. The inventory report fans the flames a little bit, right? Throws gasoline in the fire. That was a pun intended. And then it just reverses and collapses here right back down to that target we gave you guys 24 hours ago. Almost too easy here on the crude if you know what you're looking for. Now, here's the deal. Do not jump into this thing short right now. Do not sell this crude right now. Do not be a donor to the markets right now. Don't sell at a discount right now. Don't sell at support right now. How many more ways can I describe this, right? Do not be a seller here right now, guys. We've talked about this many times before. I want to sell where? Sell at a premium. Sell where? Sell when we're overbought. Sell where? Sell at the highs. Wait for that price to either go back higher for a short, or we need to get new lower lows so we can unlock some fresh new sell zones for you guys on Friday. So right now, we're right back to that same iffy area here we were 48 hours ago. If you recall, a couple days ago, earlier this week, we were sitting right in the middle, and we said, all right, we got to wait for price to get up there. We got all the way up there. Everybody's going, see, they're going to buy it now. Nope, not so fast. Right back down. Okay, so let's stay focused on staying patient. One of two options right now, as far as I'm concerned, on crude. Option number one, we go back up so I can sell it again. Option number two, we go lower. Got to get a lower low below 89.23 if we're going to start unlocking those new sell zones for us late in the day tomorrow or Friday morning for non-farm payrolls. As we move forward here right now, we can see that we have our 32 anchor. This is a very nice chart. You can see exactly what I'm talking about right now. You got that range-bound market. We get the lows down here at 89.23, the highs up top at 95, 94.90. Very easy to see those ranges. We had drawn in a channel here from yesterday, if you recall, right? And so you had that buy off that channel directly into that sell zone that we gave you last night. Now we find ourselves back down at these lows. What's a trader to do? Well, what's my trend? First of all, I'm bearish. Where's my setup right now? I know what direction I want to trade. I want to trade short. Where's my setups right now? 72, 43, 88, 04. You've got 4 sell setups. On top of that, members, I'm ignoring that reversal line right there for good reason. Way too close. I've got a sell zone here. You'll notice I've drawn in a bit of a channel here. And so that will be another sell setup for you guys on the crude. Real quick though, real quick. If I had to pick which of these sell setups are going to be the best, it would be these two right there. Okay, these two at the bottom, right? 92.01, 92.68. These two the first two sell zones, those are minor zones, right? So partial size, make sure you get a good pattern on that entry, guys. Don't force those two, all right? You know why? They're right in the middle, right? Look closely, they're right in the middle of this range. I would much rather ignore those, get back to those highs, and I'll sell that 94.04, all right? So as close to those highs as I can get, that's where I need to go. As I go lower, though, if we do get a nice pattern short out of this, I've got targets at 90.44, 89.23, 87.82, right? That's going to be your extension target outside of that range. We really need lower lows right now, guys, to get this strength back here to the downside. Be aware of staying in the middle here. Be aware of the danger of trading in the middle of this range right now on crude. Be patient for the sell. And then, of course, if you like danger, if you want a little bit more risk here, here are those two sell zones. Here's my 16, my scalping anchor chart. If you want to be a scalper, here's going to be your levels for tomorrow. 91.72, 92.43. Yes, those are those same levels that we talked about earlier from that 32 chart, right? Yes, those are those same levels, but they're in the middle of the big range, right? That's why I say, you want to be a little more aggressive? I got aggressive for you. 91.72, 92.43, and again, you can see here we've got this channel now forming, so selling the highs of that bear channel will also be a great opportunity for us right now. Remember the big picture, though. That's in the middle of the range. It's going to be a little bit sloppier. Targets going lower, 90.41, 89.43, 88.91. Those will be my predetermined targets ahead of tomorrow's session. And as always, don't forget, guys, this is not the last time you're going to hear from me. I'll be updating all these levels tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time once we open up our live trade room for all of our students here at School of Trade. Come out and join us tomorrow, and I'll give you guys those real-time entry triggers that we're looking for. How about some news for tomorrow? Thursday, October 2nd. No news tonight out of Asia, right? No major news out of China, Australia, Japan. Nothing coming out of Asia. And then we run right into tomorrow's, drum roll please. Yeah, that was good. That was good. I bet you guys didn't know my night job was playing backup in a band. Oh, that was bad. Let's go back to day trading. Don't quit your day job, JJ. What do we got here tomorrow morning? I've got 4:30 from Great Britain. I've got 7:45 from the EU. Those are our two major news events in Europe. Now, heads up here. Heads up. We got the ECB announcement tomorrow, right? This is just like our FOMC announcement here in the USA, right? This is a very, very, did I mention very, very important news tomorrow morning at 7:45. If you've been living under a rock lately, then you probably don't know that Europe is one bad month away from going back into a recession, right? Our friends in Europe are really struggling right now. Italy showed some pretty good numbers today, but they're back in a technical recession right now. Germany's the biggest problem we've got right now. We just saw Germany go into contraction on its manufacturing reports, sub 50 manufacturing reading. It's been like 15 years since that happened. They just instituted free public education in Germany. Things are going crazy in Europe right now. I can't wait to hear what Draghi's plan is going to be. Right now, they're trying to sell Germany right now on buying a bunch of junk private debt. It's going to be a tough one, and he's going to have his feet are going to be to the fire tomorrow morning. Remember how this report goes. It's just like the US FOMC. We get the announcement, and then we get a press conference, right? So in the US, announcement at 12:30, press conference at 2:15, right? Same thing will happen tomorrow morning, except we have the announcement at 7:45, and then the press conference will usually be around 8:15. Be ready at 8:30 tomorrow morning, all right? Be ready. And be very careful before that press conference, because a lot of slop and chop builds before that news conference starts, all right? So the announcement is going to be a pre-prepared script. At 8:15 tomorrow morning, that's when Super Mario is going to have to fend for himself. That's when they get the floor and they ask all the unscripted Q&A, right? That's when he sticks his foot in his mouth, puts his head you know where, or vice versa. So we know we're excited tomorrow morning for big news out of the EU. How about the U.S. session? We got jobless claims tomorrow morning at 8:30, and we got factory orders at 10 o'clock. Now, let's not forget, we saw a very rosy report today from the EDP. Remember the ADP today? They were expecting what? 304. They got 315 and change. That's a pretty big number. Only 24 hours away from non-farm payrolls on Friday. So remember, ADP came out today. I don't think anybody's going to be watching jobless claims tomorrow. Jobless claims tomorrow is considered a Red Star news event, but as I've said for a while now, the jobless claims report in today's marketplace is almost worthless because everybody knows nobody's getting a job. They're giving up on the job search. They're taking 3 part-time jobs instead of getting a full-time job. So bottom line is nobody trusts this report. This report right now, the jobless claims report right now, is about as valuable as a housing report was in 2010. All right? You can't tell the difference between a good number and a bad number anymore. They're all worthless for jobless claims. The big news, if you want my humble opinion, is factory orders. Factory orders, we saw today the ISM manufacturing in the U.S. today at 10 a.m. Today's ISM manufacturing index came in at a 3-month low and was the first low we've seen in manufacturing all year. So big deal. That might be the tip of the iceberg. I'll tell you right now, if we get factory orders that are bearish tomorrow, if we get really disappointing factory orders, did I mention the Russell was bearish? Did I mention crude was bearish? Yeah, those are going to be the marks we watch tomorrow. I don't see gold being affected by it, but factory orders, yes. Natural gas, crude oil, anything being used for big factories and manufacturing, and of course, it'll definitely be affecting equities tomorrow, especially, right, the E-minis. Tomorrow night, we got Japan, 9:35. We'll talk more about that in tomorrow night's newsletter. We do have the natural gas report tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for all you natty gas traders. That is not where I'll be paying attention to, though. I'll be focused tomorrow morning on gold, crude, Russell, euro. We'll watch the dollar. Whew, what an exciting day we had. Hope you guys had a great day out there with us. Want to thank you so much for being a part of our newsletter today. And before I let you guys go, I want to remind you that SchoolOfTrade.com is the longest running trading education website on the planet. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary this year, 2014, and we are so excited to welcome you as a brand new member of the family. We have a free trial on our homepage here at School of Trade. Part of that free trial, I'm going to invite you to come out and join our trade room. You'll also learn all about the strategies that we trade. I've got someone standing by here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? I keep them locked in a cage so they can answer your questions on live support if you need any help. And we offer 3 levels of membership, and you can learn all about it by watching our video and joining our free trial. Guys, want to thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to learn this stuff so you can earn this stuff. We've had a fantastic month of September, and now we're ready to kick some butt here in the month of October. Have a great evening. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to share this with a friend, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We open up the trade room, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be back for tomorrow night's newsletter. Adios, amigos. Bye for now.